So, Sheila, what do you do when you receive an email from a Nigerian prince offering you $1 million?
I don't know, but what do you do if Aunt Dolores is calling you, telling you she can't remember her passwords for anything or get on Zoom?
Well, I think what I would do is call the senior savior of technology, James.
Clear computing can help with those things. Yeah, we can help.
You're watching A3 Aging Ann Arbor, where we talk about aging and what you need to know. I'm Faye Molitor.
And I'm Sheila Doden.
Welcome to the show. So welcome to A3 Aging Ann Arbor, and we're really pleased to introduce James Giordani. Did I say that correct?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect, yeah.
He is the founder of Clear Computing, and he has an extensive background in personal tech support. The reason we really wanted to talk to James today is because he specializes in working with the senior population in the tech world. So we would like to hear more about that, James.
All right, cool. Very cool. Well, thanks so much for having me. It's exciting to be here and talk about this. And it's like, where do I begin is the big question. But I think what's really sort of shaped technology and older adults has definitely been the pandemic. And I've been doing this type of work for about 6 years now. And before the pandemic, I used to always hear like, clients would say, kids these days, they're always on their phones, they're always on their computers. What are they even doing?
Yeah.
They should go outside. And then ever since the pandemic, I think older adults have kind of caught on. We're like, the kids were communicating with each other. They were being creative. They were being productive. And now there's this kind of rush amongst folks over 55, I would say, to kind of like learn and kind of harness the benefits of technology as well.
That's cool.
Well, I'm close to that, and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's ever evolving.
No, it's just super cool when you really put it into that perspective that it took, unfortunately, the pandemic to open their eyes, though, to how cool this technology is and how it really is important to them, because it is a link to the outside world, especially when some of those folks are kind of homebound and have no other way of communicating, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, older adults, we know they kind of face unique challenges in our society. I think there's like 11 million who can't drive, but there are apps like Uber or Lyft that folks could use to stay mobile. There's another 11 million who have mobility challenges, but there's apps like Teledoc and Doxy, so they can still see their healthcare providers and stuff. So there's all these nice tech solutions for older adult challenges, but kind of there's that digital divide in between. And sort of the question I've been kind of working on and answering is like, why can't older adults, just download an app and get things going and get it going, and or why are computers so challenging for older adults? And I think like it's been really fun to kind of figure out those patterns and kind of understanding like everybody has their own unique experience with technology and their own unique tech skills. So kind of figuring out what those are and matching them to what their goals are has been kind of the fun challenge.
So I'm back on so my mother-in-law ended up with a really catastrophic health event, and it was like scarred tissue in her trach, and in her throat. She ended up having to have a trach, and she couldn't speak. And we got her a cell phone, and we taught her to text, and we were like super like, she's not going to be able to, like, this is way outside her realm.
She was 80.
And she learned
80.
emojis, and I mean, she was so excited about it. So it opened our eyes to, you can teach an old dog new tricks kind of thing. So in your experience, because I'm thinking you work with quite a few folks that just kind of want to understand, how to maneuver a phone or how to maneuver a tablet or whatever, and how that kind of goes for you.
Definitely. So I think like in the past, if you ever took like a language class at your local community college, there'd be some folks with gray hairs kind of sitting in the back, or like people were learning how to speak French or finding like new pursuits. And now recently, again, ever since the pandemic, folks want to learn technology and how to use technology. Kind of, harnessing the benefits. It's really cool.
It is so cool.
Well, and I like when we were talking previously, not specifically about the podcast, but we talked a little bit about how you provide an assessment when you go in, and it's specific to that person. And there's a series of things that you're kind of asking and looking at with them, not only to get a feel for how they use technology, but to help them maybe combine some things. And that was really cool.
Yeah, I think like motivation is like one of the key factors. Like someone has to be interested in learning technology. I think a lot of times, family will think, oh, like grandma would really benefit from an iPad. She could use it to text or watch Netflix or what have you. And they'll kind of give grandma an iPad and for Christmas, and then she'll unwrap it, and then it's kind of sits there idly, and it's quickly like a very expensive paperwork. So you're right. We have this really cool like our tech discovery program where we'll do a pretty robust survey of people's devices. We'll even look at like their cable and internet bills, make sure those are appropriate. And then we'll ask like, well, do you use your technology for communication, or what sort of cybersecurity features do you have set up? I'll just roll through that. And then that way we build like a really kind of customized game plan to make sure like people are motivated. And then the other thing is just knowing what's out there too, like what device is right for me, or what app would be a good fit. And that's again what the tech discovery does.
So do you also kind of work if they need like cameras, like for safety purposes, or a Ring doorbell, or do you handle any of that?
Oh yeah, we've installed many smart cams both. So I can think of two clients in particular. One client was an person in his, I want to say he was late 80s, had Alzheimer's. So we went into his home and installed indoor security cameras, and that let his family just kind of monitor things, keep an eye on. And it was nice because it had two-way talking features. If he was like looking around in the kitchen, they could remote in and say, oh, there's a sandwich in the refrigerator for you, and things like that. And then I have another client who has a house on the lake, and he just wanted a security camera to kind of check on the weather and see what boats are coming in and out. And so
cool.
So it's nice. So and then of course we've done like traditional like setting it up for folks for the security purposes, but it's really again that kind of plays to that motivation factor. It's like, what do people want to get from it?
Sure.
So on the backside though, if you're looking at security, can you monitor it from on your end?
Yeah, so you can like have multiple user accounts or multiple admin accounts. So like I set up security cameras for my parents, and then I'm in like administrator, so I can see what's going on as well, or make changes over the internet if needed, and then they can also see what's going on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah,
not like you want to spy on anybody,
right?
But it is helpful to.
Families don't want to step on their loved ones' toes when they're in early cognitive decline, or when they're having some health issues and they could be a fall risk, or they're not eating, they're forgetting those things. And so it's like you said, they can kind of keep an eye on them and say there's a sandwich. And it's kind of a way of not introducing home care right away, but still giving them their independence. Like kind of the first step of helping them.
Sure.
And then we can maybe step in if needed at some point in the capacity of the home care. But, that's cool. I just think it's really cool.
Yeah. I do too. I mean, we hear a lot, even here with what we do. Faye just had an instance last week where her email was hacked. So it was bad.
Yeah.
And like thousands of people got emails from her.
You probably got one.
Should not have gotten one.
Yeah.
But can you like look at that kind of like security as well from the backside?
Well, so certainly. So another service that we offer, we call it our tech check program. And the idea was that we roll people's cybersecurity, their tech support, and their tech learning into one process. And so one thing we can do is actually like set it up so we get remote access. So if a client has an emergency like that, like they've downloaded a virus or all of a sudden their emails aren't responding, we can actually like look in and remediate immediately. And that's a big relief, because it's like one thing to like run a virus scan and like
Sure.
clean it out. But like, are there next steps that need to be
Right.
taken?
Oh, that's
yeah.
super cool.
So
Yeah,
you can do
that's
those
great.
steps
Like,
for them remotely. Then,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
you don't even
super
have to
cool.
be there. That's
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when that happened with Faye, we didn't even really realize it because
No.
we weren't here in the office. And so
Yeah.
our staff was like, we've had 4 phone calls from people asking about this email that they received from Faye, and they don't know if they should open it. Don't open it.
It was a strange. What it said was a secured fax was sent on behalf of senior helpers through Faye Molitor, and then you had to click the link. And I'm like, I couldn't even figure out all the people it was sent to in order to tell them, please don't click the link, because I didn't want anybody compromised.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were fishing for,
Exactly.
So,
There's some classics. There's the
Yeah.
one that's like, oh, do you have things on? Do you buy on Amazon? And then if you respond to that, they'll try to get you to
Sure.
buy things. Or the
Yeah.
classic, like, I'm stuck in a
Yeah.
Mexican prison. I need help. Can you
Yes.
send money? It's really kind of scary and insidious.
Yeah, it was. That's the first time anything like that's happened to me. So I was
Yeah.
a little frazzled, wasn't
Yeah.
I?
Well, and
Yeah.
I mean, and that's on a larger scale just because we're a corporate entity,
yeah.
but there were
And it was a corporate
multiple
email.
owners.
But it happened throughout the senior helpers' emails. So it was somebody that hacked into the company that manages the corporate emails.
Oh,
so,
jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a tough situation, but it's been handled, so we're good. But I do understand what that looks like now.
What I tell people, so these like hacking operations and these scam operations, like typically when we think of scammers, we think of someone in the gas station parking lot trying to rip you off for $20 or what have you. But now these organizations, they're multi-million-dollar businesses, and they're operating abroad, so there's not too much we can do. So they're incredibly sophisticated. So typically what I tell my clients, I have a tacky rhyme for everybody, and I say, like, if you get a call, email, text message, and if it's out of the blue and they're kind of rushing you, then it's probably untrue.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. I think it's too, like, they're so sophisticated now. You can't say, like, check who it's being sent from. Is it at Amazon? They find these workarounds for every little clue like that. So just assuming, if it's out of the blue, there's kind of an element of rush.
Yes.
Then it's probably untrue. And so I just tell people, like, ask someone else, right?
Yeah.
If you get an unsolicited email, phone call from someone, if you're able to call that person directly, like,
Right.
that's one thing. But usually I would, neighbor, friends, family, like,
Sure.
does this look okay to you? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
No, I love that. That's really cool.
the rhyme is great.
Yeah.
It will
Well,
stick
it does
with me.
stick,
but it
yeah,
does stick,
Sure,
yeah.
and that's important.
I
yeah.
feel a little corny whenever I say
Oh,
it,
I
but
love
like it
it.
serves its purpose.
Well, it works though. It really does. Yeah.
So what prompted you? How did you get started in working with
Right.
the population that you work with?
Well, we understand you have the background is social work. So so talk about that.
I'll tell the full version if
Yeah.
you'd like. Yes, I was 10 years ago or something. I was living out in Chicago. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I was like bartending on Friday nights, and then I started volunteering at a cat shelter. And you kind of like work your way up, right? First you're scooping the poop, and then you can feed the cats, and then you can pet the cats eventually. And kind of when you work there for long enough, they have these really cool specialized programs. So this is the Treehouse Society in Chicago, Illinois. It's a really amazing cat shelter. So in the end, I started doing their animal assisted program, which consisted of me taking a kitten to an Alzheimer's wing in a senior living community in
wow,
Chicago.
that's cool.
So we'd like let the residents hold the kittens. We'd share cat stories. I'd bring cat facts. It was really
That's
amazing. So
awesome.
that was the first time I was working with older adults consistently. And plus, like, my grandparents had 3 broken hips in 2 years. One
Sure.
had Parkinson's, one had Alzheimer's. So there's a lot of time spent
Yeah.
in, hospital, assisted living, et cetera. But after that, I came back to Ann Arbor, and I was working at a computer repair shop, and we had folks coming in and, and not necessarily seniors, but like a lot of people, they're coming in the shop, they just got a new computer, but they didn't know how to access their email. They were trying to use an app or a program. They're able to download it, but they didn't know how to actually, like, get it running. So I started offering private tech lessons from the shop, and it's just kind of grown from there. Eventually, I applied to the School of Social Work.
Okay.
And
not an easy program to get into.
a little secret is that they waitlisted me twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't tell
But
anyone
yet you
that.
waited.
Yeah, I waited.
Okay.
Patient. He's very patient.
Well, but then I kind of, my plan was to do traditional social work. But then I was like, you know what, I see the need for this there's a big societal problem with the tech divide and tech literacy out there. So I kind of pivoted like what my focus was on. I was like, I want to help older adults use technology. And then I kind of wrote them a letter saying like, this is what I'm doing now.
That was your appeal.
Yeah. And then like a week later, they said like, okay, you're off the wait list and we'll take you, which was
Nice.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's the population here is so like diverse, and U of M is such a large campus and a large university to be able to pull those little strings like that. And when people hear that intention in those letters that you're submitting to them, I mean, it truly is
Especially
really cool.
if it's something that is outside the box.
Right.
You found a need, and it is a need that I think is it's missing in other tech companies. They don't even really consider, I mean, they're definitely available, and you've got the Geek Squad that'll walk in and help people, but I don't think they understand, because of your social work background, they don't understand the approach to the older population.
The master's in social work like opened up many doors, and it really helped shape like my vision for what I want to do, and understanding, like learning how the brain and the body changes as we age and how that affects our technology use. Knowing that like, we're so dependent on these devices, and we're probably addicted. We're all addicted in a little way.
A little bit.
So when they stop behaving, it becomes a really like a stressful situation.
It
so
goes back to you saying, they would always say, those kids, they always have their phones in their hand.
Exactly. And then, so it's like people, they're dependent on their technology. It stops working, and it's like a really high stress situation. So having some like therapy training has been really helpul.
Oh, yeah.
There
have been times where I think Faye and I could use some therapy with technology. It's frustrating sometimes. I can't even imagine for someone who's 80 or 90.
Right. Well, again, for me, I go back to my mother-in-law, when she had that catastrophic health issue happen so quickly, the only thing she had was her tablet or her TV. And both of them were somewhat of a challenge for her. And I'll tell you what, if she hit the wrong button and changed whatever HDMI was in there or however she did it, I was getting a call. Well, Dave was getting the call. And they'd be like, Faye will be right over, because he's not techie at all. So I would have to go over and reset the computer, or reset the TV, and put it on the right channel or HDMI, or whatever it was.
James on the back
I know.
side.
I wish he
James
was around back.
Faye will be right over.
But it is so true, because sometimes that's really all they have. It really is. So you being able to help them understand that better and use it in a way that'll bring them some joy, but also help them engage is such a cool thing. Yeah,
it's really cool. It's not traditional social work by any means, but it's been by far some of the most fun and impactful work I've ever done. Just yesterday, I was working with a client who I met about a year and a half ago, kind of during the pandemic, and she is bedbound in a rehabilitation center, and so she's been there for about I want to say at least 2 years. And so she has an incredible spirit, is one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
To be in that type of situation, she would have to.
And it's still like open the door, and she's just like so excited to it's so kind and welcoming. It's been really neat. But she has a very robust social network, and she uses her phone and her computer, and all of a sudden the phone stopped charging recently, and then the computer stopped charging, and it was just,
her lifeline's gone.
Exactly. But like people know her, she has those strong social connections. Someone gave her an iPad and gave her a phone, and kind of like did some initial setup for her, but we were able to like, one thing I did was I got her using Siri on her phone.
Nice.
So just being able, she's like, so I have this new iPhone. I want to learn how to call people. And I was just like, okay, just say, hey, Siri, call James. And she was like, blew her mind. It was
Wow, that's
exciting.
so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Love those
yeah.
moments.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
great. So, do you have like one like story, obviously without you in the name, that is your favorite? Like your favorite moment?
I have so many for so many different reasons. That's hard. The one I tend to default back to, I know I shared this story with you all in the
You
past,
did.
but my first client I really ever worked with doing this type of work, she was just freshly turned 90. Um, and every Tuesday she would drive from Chelsea, Michigan to Ann Arbor, Michigan. So about 25-minute drive. And she would catch the latest film and have dinner with her girlfriends. And this is like a group that's been meeting for 25 years now. And that was like, she was widowed, living alone. And so that was like, she was crossing off the days until Tuesday every
Sure.
day. And then unfortunately, her doctor told her she could no longer drive at night. So that was particularly devastating to her.
Sure.
So we got together. We installed Uber on her phone. She couldn't do the CAPTCHA, the "I'm not a
Sure.
robot" thing. She had difficulty
Yeah.
using the keyboard, so I was able to like put in her credit card number for her.
Okay.
And then we just took really detailed notes on how to use the app. We talked about like safety, like asking the driver for their name, checking their license plate. And we went on a practice ride together, and then she was able to like catch those rides to the Michigan Theater to watch the movie with her girlfriend.
But
So
you
it's like-
went on the practice ride.
I went
Yes,
on
which
a
you went on
practice
the
ride.
latest
cool.
practice
Yes.
ride with
Yeah,
her,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is so
That's
great.
fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. We always ask our guest one question, maybe not the same question of every guest, but Faye and I were wondering if we could ask you who's had the most influence in your life.
But you teed me off to this question, gave me a heads up, and it's been racking my brain. And there's obviously like my family has had a huge influence, and they've been
Sure.
so supportive. I think they were a little nervous when I quit my kind of cushy University of Michigan IT job and kind of struck off my own here. But I think they're really happy and proud of what I'm doing, and that means a lot. But there's also Dr. Lee at the University of Michigan. Kind of after I mentioned I was waitlisted twice. I kind of emailed her and I said, this is my interest in kind of blending older adults and technology. And then she emailed me back and was like, what you're doing is really important, and would you consider a PhD? So it was like within like one semester, I went from like, do I even belong here, to all of a sudden like, I should I think like
Yeah.
bigger, and there's meaning for
Incredible.
that. Yeah, so that really meant a lot. And she, I did an independent study with her where we designed like a hierarchy of needs for older adults in technology. Like what would be the most important things to teach an older adult if we gave them a new tablet or a new computer, and that kind of led into that tech discovery program. So she's had a huge influence on me recently. So shout out to
Wow.
Dr. Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always nice to be able to have a mentor. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
someone that you can still reach out
Right.
to. I mean, your family's always there for you, but if you ran into something that was maybe something that they couldn't answer or help you with, it's nice that you've got folks that you can lean on.
Yeah.
I
For
call
some
them
extra support.
nurturers.
Nurturers. Yeah.
She
Mentors.
nurtured you.
She
Yeah.
did.
No,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing. It really is. And,
So do you have other people on your team? It's not just you, is it?
We are rapidly growing. I think right
Oh,
now we
that's
have
great.
4 other employees, and then a small business advising team that we work with. That's
Okay.
been really essential. So it's a growing endeavor. We're looking for another full-time employee right now to really kind of have like a more rapid response, right? If someone
Sure.
has an emergency call the day of, we're able to send out,
Kind of an
Tom or
on-call,
Susie. Yeah,
like,
one.
person. Yeah. That's
Keep kind of growing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that maybe you tell folks how they can reach you.
Okay.
I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah, you can. We have a minimal website. You can go to www.clearcomputing.net, and I'll be investing more time into the website in the future. It'll look nicer and nicer, but that is my bio up there. But you're always welcome to reach out via email. It's just hello@clearcomputing.net. Yeah, so HELLO @clearcomputing.net. And I would say, like, if anyone out there is ever wondering, like, is this a scam call or email, they're always welcome to forward that along to me. I'm
Okay.
starting to kind of collect those scams so I can show other clients like what they look like.
Oh God, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It
do
is
you
good to
do
have a
anything with
visual.
those? If you're getting those, you reporting them to anybody? I mean, I think
You theoretically can like report it to the FTC, but I think they're kind of handcuffed. I think it's a giant societal problem that's going unaddressed, and there's not too much that we can do right now. I think there's some policy changes, but the biggest thing is I use them to spread awareness.
Yeah.
And when I give like a cybersecurity presentation, I'll say, client Tom got this text message, or Susie got this email.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it really is hard to decipher on what is real and what isn't. I was on vacation. I got a text message that said, "We've shut your card down through your bank." Basically, click this link, right? I'm like, So like minutes later, I get another text and it says, "You didn't." Danger Will Robinson, basically. Call this number. So I did call the number. He did say that the card was compromised, immediately shut down. But then he started asking me personal questions. And I'm like, this is my bank. You should know these things. So I stopped offering up any more information and said I would handle it when I got home. And when I got home, went to the bank, they said it was absolutely true that my card was compromised, whatever. How do you know? That's the question. I was like, well, it really was, but
I wish I could give you a straightforward answer.
That's exactly what the lady at the bank said too.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that is to kind of also have that conversation that she said it's just there's a huge amount of people out there that are literally, this is what they do all day. They sit at computers and they take information from whatever they get from people, from the scams that are out there asking or phishing. And then it's an algorithm that's a constant algorithm that's just working and working to get whatever information they can get. Yeah. And then they use it for bad purposes because they're bad people.
Yeah, and they have scripts that they follow, and every time they use it, that script gets more and more refined. So after thousands and thousands of times, it's just a really sophisticated operation. Yeah.
So do you think with the IA stuff today that things are even getting worse?
You say the AI? Or
I'm sorry. AI, yes. Artificial intelligence. I always say things backwards.
That's the French version, the intelligence.
It's the IA.
It's well, there are offices in other countries where they, just dedicate all their time to scamming folks. But like I said, they're reading from scripts, right?
Yeah.
So why pay to have people reading from scripts when you can have a computer do it, even faster and even more people? So it's a huge societal problem.
Thank you for what you do. Because I feel like you keep people, especially the elderly population or the disabled folks that can't get out, you keep them safe as best as you can with the knowledge you have.
And
so
I can say,
that's a beautiful
as an
thing.
only child, that for you to have someone, for my dad to have maybe someone that's kind of watching from the background so it doesn't all fall on me to do that is a beautiful thing. Now, he is still younger and we're not quite to that point, but when we do need that, you would be the first call that we would make.
I'll be there.
Honestly. But it is, it is helpful. It gives people peace of mind, I guess, is the point to that.
Yeah. I mean, doctors don't make house calls anymore.
Right.
So it's really nice to know that there's like technicians that understand IT and can help folks that will be willing to make house calls.
For sure.
So that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, James, for coming on the show. Faye and I, always enjoy talking with you.
Yeah.
And we've learned a little bit more today, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been a really cool experience to be on here, so thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
We enjoyed having you.
And this show has been sponsored by Senior Helpers of Ann Arbor.
And you can view this show on A3AgingAnnArbor.com. That was A3 Aging Ann Arbor, your source for all things aging.
Please like, share, and subscribe for more episodes. Thanks for watching.
This episode was sponsored by Senior Helpers of Ann Arbor.